today is to present and discuss with you the results, or at least what we have been doing, building up or making clear what's the situation with data collection in the different African regions. This has been a work conducted by a group that we call the PDU Development Team, chaired by HAQAA2. So that's why Olusula is here with me at the stage, and Nodomu is online. Let me say, before I give the floor to Olusula and to Nodomu, that we have been working, or they have been working very hard. It's been a difficult job try to understand the situation of data collection in the different African sub-regions. And this has been done for Africa by Africans. In that sense, it was also an exercise to show that different sub-regions need more and more and more to be better articulated, to be better, or to build a better common language or a common understanding of the different data collection processes that are already going on in the different African sub-regions. And I want to underline here the important role that the EU has played in supporting the articulation of the different sub-regions. So this has been a truly collective African exercise. Now, on the logistics, we will have two presentations. The first one by Nodomu, who is the chair on behalf of HAQAA2 of the PDU Development Team, and the next one by my colleague Kibrome, that will also underline the policy recommendations or the policy brief out of the exercise. Before giving the floor to Nodomu, I would like Olusula, maybe you want to make a short reflection, and then we'll go with Nodomu.
Very much. One of the problems in Africa is that we have the culture of making policies that are not data-based. And we believe that higher education institutions should not follow the political group in not having data. Just thinking about this now, I want to say that regulatory agencies have important roles to play to help institutions in Africa to be data conscious. And I think that that's one of the messages that Professor Kebukola sent out in Nigeria on the need for institutions to have their data. In this initiative, we've recognized regional groups that can help to collect data within their regions that can now be coordinated from the Association of African Universities. This is the first part of this policy data initiative, and it's my pleasure to invite the chair of that group, Madam Nodomu, who is currently in South Africa, to connect to us and make a presentation on their findings and the way forward as we move beyond this. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, colleagues from Cape Town, South Africa. Please confirm if I'm audible.
Very clear.
Yes.
I said I can't yet.
Okay, maybe someone needs to spotlight my face, but I've put the slide on.
Very clear.
Yes, yeah. So thank you very much for this opportunity. The reason why the Policy Data Unit Development Team was set up is for us to be able to respond to the need for robust and reliable comparative data collection in higher education for policy making at different levels. We also set up this Policy Data Unit Development Team so that we are able to support the African Union Commission to assess CESA using comparative data that is generated by countries, by regions, and at a higher level. So what we call the PDU is composed of a strong regional representation from the 5 regions of Africa. And as we emphasized, the PDU is supporting HAQAA2 objectives, particularly supporting the policy component within CESA, and in a way also helping us to realize the objectives of programs such as HAQAA2. The composition of the PDU development team, as it has been said, is chaired by the Association of African Universities, which also represents not the ECOWAS region, but has also taken leadership to bring the other regions to the table. The Southern African Regional Universities Association, SARUA, has also been represented by Professor Nico Juste. The Inter-University Council for East Africa has also been represented by Ben Ruhinda. The Francophone Universities Association, we have been working with Professor Aida Aisetu. The Mediterranean Universities Union, which includes North Africa, has been represented by Professor Wail. We have also been fortunate that we have had 2 consultants supporting us. One of them is Dr. Kiprome Mekonnen. And
no,
then,
you're not sharing the slides.
Okay, and then, okay, Prof, someone showed my face and then the slide went away. So let me put the slide away. I think people have seen enough of my face. Okay. So we've also been fortunate to work with Dr. Kiprome Mekonnen and Tafatswa Ruziwe, who have supported this process. Concerning what we've done as the PDU development team, we have mapped existing higher education data sources and needs across the 5 regions of Africa. We have conducted virtual regional focus group discussions in each of the 5 regions. We have also conducted various virtual stakeholder meetings to ensure that stakeholders across the continent have been involved. We have used the platform of AAU as the voice of higher education in Africa to get the stakeholders fully engaged. And I must say that the meetings related to the PDU development teamwork have been well attended. We have received impressive feedback from the 5 regions of Africa. Therefore, we've produced a draft mapping report. We've also produced a policy brief and a roadmap for the policy data unit. We believe that we've efficiently and effectively initiated a working relationship among the key institutions in the 5 regions of Africa, because we've been able to come together and think together and be on the same page in terms of what needs to happen with data for higher education in Africa. Therefore, we have begun to generate buy-in into the policy data unit concept. We are therefore proposing a work plan and priorities for 2023. I would now like my colleague, Dr. Kiprome, to take us through the roadmap and why the roadmap and the specificities of the work that we have done. Kiprome, I hope you are able to take over from now. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you and good morning again. I thank my chair and leader of our team who has been so incredibly important in all the work we did in the PDU development team for laying the ground or presenting the background for the development of the roadmaps that I will be presenting now. With a minor correction, Chair Nudumo keeps referring to me as Dr. Kubrom. I'm not there yet. So it will be a malpractice of me not to mention that. So why we developed the roadmap document is, as Nudumo has explained earlier, we have been exercising different activities to identify gaps in data collection in higher education in Africa, and that resulted in recommendations that are aimed at solving this problem of data collection in Africa. So therefore, as Nudumo mentioned, to implement these recommendations and systematize data collection in higher education in Africa, and in order to come up with a concrete way forward in applying those recommendations, this roadmap document is presented. So the methodology is simply it's an outcome of the mapping report we did. In the mapping report, significant gaps in data collection in the different regions have been identified, both at the regional level and at the national and institutional level. The problems were identified. So understanding the current state of data collection in each region and in each country to the best possible extent we can, we had to devise certain interventions that will contribute to solving, at least start solving the higher education data collection problem in the continent. So this is the methodology of the roadmap document. The next slide. Oh. Okay. I think Chair Nudumo is ahead of me. So the concept of the roadmap is one, there's vision, mission, values, and principles on the basis of which the roadmap will be implemented. We have designed specific objectives targeted at solving the problems, and pursuant to those objectives, there are priority action areas that are identified that need attention going forward. And these priority action areas will be taken at the different levels and in different parts of the continent. To implement those priority action areas, we have proposed certain strategies and mechanisms, and my presentation will mainly focus on the priority action areas, the objectives, the priority action areas, and strategies and mechanisms that are that we are proposing. Next. So the vision is taken from the Agenda 2063 of a peaceful and prosperous Africa, integrated, led by its own citizens, and occupying the place it deserves in the global community and in the knowledge economy. This is a wider vision that guides the exercise of the PDU development or the policy data units that may eventually come out of the works of the PDU development team. Next. So the mission, as emphasized in CESA, is to create a robust higher education data capability that's fit for the monitoring and evaluation of CESA 1625, and go beyond that and create an African capability for data collection. To save time for discussion, I will go to next slide. Thank you. It's very difficult to order your boss, by the way. So that's why. So the values and principles are as well taken from the Continental Strategy for Education in Africa. In implementation of this roadmap document will require a strong political will for reform and both the education and training sector. The peaceful and secure environment, gender equality and sensitivity throughout the education and training systems, resource mobilization with emphasis on domestic resources. Okay. And the likes as envisaged in the CESA document are also included in the roadmap document to guide our activities. So this takes us to the particularities of the roadmap document. What objectives are we setting out to achieve? The first is to create an African higher education data capability that enables verification of the CESA 1625 strategy and beyond. The first objective centers on creating that capability at the continental level through the creation of different ladders or building blocks in the continent at the regional and at the national level. And the second is to promote the promulgation of laws and regulations at regional and national levels that concretize data pathways from institutional to regional levels. These objectives comes out from the different findings we had in the mapping process, where gaps in laws, either the absence or the strictness of legal regimes, has created the exchange of data and has sometimes hindered the transfer of data from one level to the other. Therefore, this objective is set to achieve or to address that problem. The other objective is promote the adoption of policies that harmonize standards and practices of data collection from institutional level to regional level. As most of you already know, there is an absence or lack of a unified approach towards data collection. There is differences in definitions in our methodology in data collection, and even in some cases terms and some indicators definition might be different from one place to the other. So creating that policy environment which enables a harmonized and coordinated data collection is set as another objection. Additionally, the roadmap aims at creating and strengthening data production at regional and national levels. This will feed into the creation of a continental data collection mechanism that is the ultimate vision of the exercise. And above all, and ultimately, the importance of data for decision making is something we can all agree on, and the exercise aims to inculcate a culture of evidence-based decision making in higher education at the regional and national level. Next. Okay. So to achieve these objectives, we have proposed a framework that drives the implementation of the roadmap. Now, this framework contains, as you see, 4 pillars. Okay, there are goals that are set mainly at the continental and regional level by goal-setting bodies like the regional economic communities or the African Union Commission, like the Continental Strategy for Education in Africa. And we have structures at the national level, which pertains with the national HEMIS ecosystem. The other pillars, the process pillar pertains to data collection processes at higher education institutional level, and outputs, which could be the data collection capabilities that we imagine to have at the continental level, or data itself can be the output. So the framework under which the roadmap functions rotates around these different relationships between these four pillars. So as a process, as a structure, as goal setters, and so on, these different dimensions of relations need to be addressed in order to create and harness the data collection capability at the continental level. To show this, we can show what priority action areas emerge from this framework. The first one is the relationship or the goal output relationship paradigm. That is, we need to establish and strengthen regional databases and data collection capability. If goals are to be set at the regional level and outputs are to be secured, as said, then the regional data capability has to be strengthened. The second priority action area, okay, next. Okay. Yes, next. Okay. The second priority action area is projecting from two places is creating problem. Okay. The second priority area is goal structure relationship, which requires streamlining national HEMIS architectures in different countries. The third priority action area is the goal process relationship, which requires standardizing institutional level processes. And finally, we have the process structure relationships, which requires an alignment of national HEMIS structures to realities in higher education institution and collection at the institutional level. So the activities or these priority action areas, which are designed to be applied in sorry? Okay. Sir?
They cannot see the slides.
Hmm?
The slides is not
No, it was shared from here.
Can we tell Nodumo?
I think Nodumo is up. That's all.
I'm around. I just need to know which slide you are on, Kiprome, so that I support the process. Please confirm whether this is the slide that you are on.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
So for each priority action area, we are proposing different interventions to be taken at the different levels, from the institutional to the national to the regional levels. So on the first priority area, which calls for the establishment and the strengthening of regional databases, the interventions that are recommended are developing regional norms and standards that define data to be collected and to set standards, lobbying for standards to be accepted at regional level and implemented at the national level, benchmarking regional strategies and approach to data collection, monitoring improvement in data outputs, lobbying and implementing rigorous data governance strategies, and developing regional database and database holding organizations. These intervention areas are aimed to strengthen where there is regional data capability. Some regional economic communities are already in the process of establishing one. Where there is no such capability, it's important to start the process of creating this regional capability. As second priority action area, interventions like strengthening and oversight over methodologies and operations through a national HEMIS champion at the national level is proposed. Improving the general quality of staff through training and exchanges is also another intervention that can be undertaken to strengthen the capability at the national level, and engendering research collaboration in regions that do not have regional structures yet is interventions that are proposed in the second priority action area. For the third priority action area, which is linking institutional statistical processes with regional databases, it's important to implement latest technologies, technological tools to help in collecting and transmitting data, increasing the ability of personnel to utilize advanced statistical equipment to increase capacity to handle and analyze data, and emphasize the importance of training on internal quality controls at university level, because data at the end of the day, if it lacks quality, will not necessarily inform decision-making processes adequately and as desired. The other priority action area is aligning national HEMIS ecosystem with regional database requirements. For this, we have proposed to train HEMIS managers to organize HEMIS departments with the ease of producing relevant statistics in mind. Constant feedback to improve the structure of the organization through different means like ISO standardizations, and exchange with more mature HEMIS systems to ensure collaboration and cross-pollination of ideas. One dynamic we have observed during the mapping process is in terms of regionalization of higher education and collaboration in the regions. So all the regions are not on the same page. Some regions are more advanced, relatively more advanced in the regionalization process than the others. Whereas in terms of national capability in data collection, in some areas, countries are more advanced, as you know, in having that capacity. Therefore, this relationship of exchange of experiences and knowledge applies at both levels. Those nations with developed capabilities will share their experience with other nations, and the regional groups also work together to create this regional capability. And at the apex, the African Union and the AAU will play the most important role of articulating these different exercises or unifying these different exercises. So at the process output relationship level, the last priority action area, it's important to align national HEMIS ecosystem with, the alignment of national HEMIS structures to realities in higher education data collection at institutional level. So to achieve this, it's important to recruit and organize staff to make the best use of available resources, as limited as it is. Recruit more staff and add more resources to capacitate the HEMIS system, and train extensively in the internal organization, operation, and management of a national HEMIS system. Now, to save time, I will briefly mention the strategies and mechanisms that are proposed in the roadmap. One, there are 5 strategies identified to operationalize the roadmap. The first one is capacity building at the different levels, at the institutional, at the national and regional level. One major gap identified in the mapping process is lack of awareness, especially of policies and strategies set at continental and regional level. Therefore, this strategy is designed to fill that gap where there is an awareness gap in terms of understanding and implementing strategies and objectives set at the regional and continental level. The other is that policy advocacy and dialogue, creating networks and opportunities for policy advocacy and dialogue so that decision makers and governments can make decisions that are more enabling to or allowing to create data capability in the regions. Knowledge sharing exchange. Okay. The other strategy adopted is knowledge sharing and exchange, which, as I said earlier, is very important because of the differences in capabilities in the different regions and countries and existing data collection exercises in the different parts of the continent as well as at the different levels. And most importantly, the strategy proposed is partnership development, which most of us are familiar with. So next. Okay. So how do we implement this roadmap? The implementation of the roadmap depends on several things. One is the political will, resources, and so on. But primarily, creating pooling the required resources at the continental and regional level will be the responsibility of our own countries. It's our own initiative, our own problem to solve. But the strategies or the implementation of the roadmap requires support, technical support from outside. Therefore, one of the suggested possible way out is a possible HAQAA2 project that supports the implementation of the roadmap, and RECs and countries pushing toward this pooling resources at the regional level to implement the roadmap. At this point, it's also important to emphasize the role of the AAU in bringing together these different resources and different approaches in the regions toward this during the implementation of the roadmap. A final point I would like to emphasize, that's a major outcome of the mapping process, is that the existing significant difference. No, it's working. The existing significant difference between the regions. As I have implied earlier, some of the regional economic communities have passed through the adoption of the protocols, policies, and are on the way to create a regional data collection mechanism. Whereas in other regions, there is a clear lack of regional level cooperation in the area of higher education, even in the existence of enhanced capacity at the national level for data collection. Therefore, these priority action areas and strategies that we have suggested are not to be implemented in a one-size-fits-all manner to all the regions at the same time. What the roadmap is suggesting is to choose and pick from these different strategies and implement different interventions proposed under each priority action area in a manner that is befitting the regional requirements or the felt demands or needs of the regions according to, or as we find out in the mapping report. So this is a very short and rushed introduction to lay ground for the breakout discussion. So of the priority action areas and interventions that are read out at you, we would like to hear in the breakout sessions which specific priority action area and which interventions should come first in your region, to your country, and how would you like to see this roadmap being implemented in your region so that in a manner that solves the problem that persists in your particular region. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibrome. I know Ursula has a comment, but before we do the breakouts, I just wanted to mention two facts. Facts are actually very important. The First fact is that this has been a collective work or adventure, but that the roadmap and the policy brief have been validated by a large number of African experts and institutions in an online meeting that happened, I think, Nodomo, correct me if I am wrong, like 3 weeks ago, where more than 150 people had the chance to express their opinion and to see in advance, before coming to this session, the result of the work of the group. This is important because this is not now anymore the result of a committee working in a task, but a consensuated position that has been validated through or by many African leaders, individuals, and institutions. The second comment I want to make before giving the last word to Olusula and breaking out is that these documents are going to be, they are available now, but as my colleague Kibrome mentioned, this is an unwork finished. We are waiting for this session for the workout groups to get more input from the different regions in order to enhance the roadmap and to be more specific on the needs of each sub-region for whatever future plan the African Union Commission and the European Union have for this activity. But after this meeting, so next week, these documents will be published on the HAQAA2 website. We will probably have them published first in English, and after a couple of weeks, we will translate them into French, Portuguese, Arabic, and I am more and more tempting to start translating documents into Swahili if Apio helps us. So this is going to be a public document, and of course, as it was the case in the MOOC series, this is an open living document that we hope it can evolve as well in the future. Kibrome and Nodomo were very humble to say this, but they have done, all the people working, Ben, Vail, Nico, etc. They all, Aida, they all have done a very, very fantastic and tiring work to collect real information from the ground and try to see how the situation actually is in the different sub-regions. Thank you very much. Olusula, your final comment, and then we go with the groups. Before that, where are they going to be the breakout groups? All here. Come.
Okay. Can I make my comment?
Please do.
Firstly, to appreciate the team for doing a great work. But to mention that I will want Madam Nodomo to please take us back to the slide on priority action, where you have 6 points, if you don't mind. Priority actions. Is Madam Nodomo on? Okay. Yes. Essentially, the strength of the policy data unit is the fact that we could have a coordinating center where data from the different regions can be coordinated and transmitted or interpreted for policymakers. The 6 priority actions you have here has only taken care of gathering data at national level and gathering data at regional level. I want to propose that we need to put 2 additional steps. Number 7, we should have aligning regional database to the continental coordinating database at AAU. That should be number 7. And number 8, establishing and strengthening continental coordinating database center at AAU. If we leave this as it is now, it will not be different from what is happening. So databases will be coordinated at regional levels, and then the disintegration of Africa will continue. So the strength of this policy data unit will be our ability to have a central coordinating unit somewhere. And with all you've said, we should have it in AAU, we need to build that capacity, both in terms of human capacity and infrastructure capacity, for us to be able to coordinate the data coming from the different regions, for it to now be made available to the African Union Commission. I do not know how we forgot the central one, and we lay emphasis on the regional and the national committee. What can you do to say to that?
I think, Prof has raised a very important question, but it's not forgotten. It's not mentioned here only because the whole exercise, the whole roadmap, the whole mapping exercise is premised on how to create a continental data collection capacity that will feed into the AU decision-making process. So this is an approach towards creating that. And that's why the AU and the AAU are the important central figures that will harmonize, bring together these regional exercises.
So just help us to put number 7 and 8 so that we know that it's covered in the list. Thank you.
Yeah, we need to be closing this session. I think the message is taken, the importance, and of course this was part of the research that has been conducted by the group, the importance to articulate. I like the word articulation, to articulate in a better way different data languages or different data processes without suffocating them. So what it is clearly needed is an articulation space. Now, we will have half an hour. There is a question, very short, please.
It's not a question, it's just the breakout rooms. I'm from West Africa. No,
I'm going to say that now.
No. I'm from West Africa. I can't find any breakout room. Maybe mine is unwritten group 5.
Yeah, you're right. Together with the Francophone Africa. We should have put West Africa.
No, not. I am from West Africa, both Anglophone and Francophone. And yeah, maybe we just create a group. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this.
That would be fine.
Yeah, let's just have West Africa.
Yeah. So,
and we can meet on the roof of this building, yes.
No, there's going to be a space. So let's going to put it this way. For East Africa, West Africa, and South Africa is this room, correct? Is a room in front. Pour les collègues du nord de l'Afrique et de l'Afrique francophone, vous restez ici. OK? On a 30 minutes pour la discussion sur les questions stratégiques dans la région. We have half an hour for the strategic discussion in the region, and then we'll regather here for a very short, brief wrap-up, and we will continue working. Is that okay? Okay, so west, east, and south, straight in the room that it is in front, correct, Juru? So the door will be open and you will be guided to the room. Pour les francophones et pour les non francophones qui sont à le nord de l'Afrique ou l'Afrique francophone, vous restez ici. Merci.